My name is David Schwartz.
Dr. Schwartz, if you could just pull the mic a little closer, thank you.
My name is David Schwartz. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist. I was a support a volunteer supervisor at Whitman-Walker Clinic in the Addiction Services Program from 1994 until 2006. In 2000, I was awarded the Gene Fry Whitman-Walker Volunteer of the Year Award. In 2001, I was awarded the Bill Taylor Whitman-Walker Addiction Services Award. My testimony is about my experience at Whitman-Walker Clinic, why I'm no longer a volunteer, and why I'm gravely concerned about services to the GLBT clients at Whitman-Walker Clinic. In May 2006, I was asked by the WASP program director to participate in the interview process to fill a vacancy for an addictions counselor. In responding to a question regarding potential challenges that the WASP client demographics might pose, the candidate made comments regarding his spirituality, God, and family. I asked as a follow-up question whether he was familiar with some of the controversy regarding the op-ed pieces in the Washington Blade written by local pastors about gays. The candidate said that he did not read the Blade and was not aware of the op-ed piece. He did state that he thinks that gay sex is a sin. The program director did not make any corrective statements or take any corrective action to address the statement with me or, to the best of my knowledge, the WASP counselor who was also in the interview. I was and am stunned that such a prejudiced and pejorative statement would go unaddressed. In discussions following the interview, the WASP program director made several statements that concerned me. She said that during the interview she kept thinking, shut up, just shut up, in her mind as the candidate was saying that gay sex is a sin. She said that she could guarantee that at least one other person in the Mental Health and Addiction Services unit held the same belief. Presumably this comment was meant as reassurance that treatment was not adversely impacted by this belief. For me, it had the opposite effect. I told the program manager that I thought the statement, gay sex is a sin, was unacceptable and the candidate should not be hired. The consulting psychiatrist for the program apparently gave the same assessment. The WASP program manager disagreed. In consultation with their supervisor, the director of Behavioral Health Services, they decided to interview the candidate for a second time to assess cultural competency. The two gay members of the interview team were not allowed to participate in the second interview. I asked the program director for an opportunity for us to speak together with the director of Behavioral Health Services before a final decision was made. She agreed. Following the second interview, I was informed by the WASP program director that the job had been offered to the candidate. I reminded her that she had promised that we could talk with the director of Behavioral Health Services before a decision was made. She said she forgot. At that point, I called the director of Behavioral Health Services to express my deep consternation. We disagreed about the importance of the statement that gay sex is a sin and the decision to hire, but she said that she would talk to the human resources director about the appropriate procedures to address my concerns. She next informed me that the director of human resources said that I was just a volunteer and had no say in the matter. Again, neither of these clinic managers addressed the issue regarding the impact of this statement on me or on the WASP counselor who was part of the interview team. When I asked her what course to take, at that point she advised me to talk directly with the executive director. On June 6th, I met with the executive director and expressed my concerns about this higher cultural competency for GLBT clients and the importance of WASP as the only program in all of Metro DC for GLBT clients to obtain safe outpatient intensive groups treatment. Since its inception in the 1980s, the WASP program has been a safe place for clients to talk about gay, psychosocial, sexual development, partners and lovers, and sexuality, all topics vital to sustain recovery. I discussed the need for clients to have counselors who could affirm their love and their sexuality. The executive director expressed his idea that tolerance was his goal, and why couldn't we all just tolerate one another, apparently including the statement, gay sex is a sin. He did agree to think about the differences between tolerance and affirmation for GLBT clients. He asked me what I wanted to happen. Did I want the program director fired? I said that I did not want the program director fired and that I understood that Whitman-Walker Clinic was in a difficult position having extended the job offer. I said that what I wanted were procedures that better assessed and addressed cultural competence, procedures that were dedicated to preserving GLBT-focused services, and procedures that recognized the need for affirmation versus tolerance. In summary, the executive director expressed grave concern, committed to investigate the issue, and promised to get back to me. On June 8th, I was asked to meet that afternoon with a clinic attorney. The first half of the meeting was very cordial, and I was asked to share everything I knew about the hiring. Once I finished, there was a stunning shift to a hostile, authoritarian, and diminishing tone. I was informed that the candidate was starting work Monday and that the full force of the clinic would be focused on protecting his constitutional rights. I was informed that I was never to discuss his statement or any material from the interview. I was interrogated regarding any discussions I had had with anyone regarding these issues. I asked if there was a plan for protecting the human rights and the constitutional rights of the clients. The clinic attorney said she would get back to me on that. She never did. She also never addressed the impact of the statement, "Gay sex is a sin," on me or the WAS counselor. I believe that this interview was extremely duplicitous. The decision to hire and start employment had already been made. The first half of the interview had the appearance of being very interested in my concerns. The second half of the interview related a completely different agenda. I believe this interview was hostile, intimidating, and retaliatory. I made another appointment with the executive director the following week. I'm uncertain of the date. Again, he expressed concern. He said that he would look into the issues and the meeting with the attorney. He said he would get back to me. At my initiation, we met again on approximately July 20th, and the executive director had nothing to report. He asked me to get back to him after his vacation. On September 18th, the WAS program director left a message canceling my supervision with the WAS team until we had a chance to talk. I left her several messages saying that I thought it was very important for us to talk. She never responded. Please note that I had expressed the importance of talking with her in May and June, and she said she needed some time. On, I believe, October 24th, I met again with the executive director. He was aware that the supervision had been suspended. He told me this was a change across all programs at the clinic and was not specific to me. He asked me to talk to the new director of behavioral health services. By this time, I no longer trusted the executive director was being honest with me. On November 30th, I met with the new director of behavioral health services. He said that suspension of supervision was not at all a clinic-wide decision, and the decision was particular to me. I do not recall the exact quote, but he said, "Don't you think you undermined the WAS program director's authority?" He stated there had been no complaints from clients and there had been no issues of lack of cultural competency. I told him that client complaints are a very low standard for assessing cultural competency, and that was one of the reasons for supervision. I told him that in supervision sessions over the summer, there had been 2 case presentations by the new counselor with serious complications due to lack of cultural competency. I told him that I had discussed this with the WAS program director and gave him the details. I asked him if he had heard about those issues with cultural competency. He did not respond. He said that he needed to leave for another meeting, but he would contact me to continue our discussion. He emailed me several weeks later, I believe it was several weeks later, to offer one final meeting, and I replied by email that I felt it was very important for us to meet. He never responded. The pro bono supervision services that I had provided to WAS for over a decade were summarily suspended and ultimately canceled because I expressed a strong opinion that gay sex is a sin, should not be acceptable at Whitman-Walker Clinic. I expressed this opinion appropriately and as directed, and at no point was I told that any of my conduct was anything less than 100% professional. I'm gravely concerned about the safety of the clinic's programming for GLBT people. Historically and today, Whitman-Walker Clinic is the only place in Metro DC for GLBT people to obtain safe, culturally competent, intensive outpatient addictive services, mental health group therapy services, and many other clinic services. If an honored clinical supervisor is treated in this manner, how can I be confident that GLBT clients will be treated fairly and respectfully? My experience was not the isolated behavior of a single manager, but represented a substantial segment of the management team, and most significantly included the clinic attorney and the executive director. It is my fervent hope that my testimony will ultimately strengthen Whitman-Walker Clinic. I hope that the clinic will genuinely rededicate itself to the GLBT portion of the mission statement, and to GLBT services. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Schwartz.
I am very concerned about all of your reports. Let me start with Dr. Schwartz. I mean, the fact that someone would identify a point of view that gay sex is a sin would, to my mind, make them not culturally competent to provide particularly recovery intervention services to gay people. And I think that would just be enough. And I wish there was a way, and I have to go, and so maybe there is a way. You know, I'd like at a point like this to call Mr. Blanchard back, you know, and say, what is going on here? You know, since there's a specific allegation that, how many times did you meet with the executive director?
I believe 4.
4 times. And if I had the opportunity, I sincerely would ask Mr. Blanchard, what would make you think that you could hire someone who had this point of view and put them into this type of environment and expect it to be a culturally competent situation? I mean, how could you possibly do it?